My personal job at the company is to oversee the commission and the build and the management of all of our artist and label websites. And on top of that, anything that is essentially goes on the web should come through me and our team for commissioning. So that could be web apps or mobile apps, as well as the artist site. Sony represent a huge range of artists, from heritage acts like Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, through current worldwide artists like Foo Fighters and Kings of Leon and Beyonce, to big UK acts like Sabian and Calvin Harris, and obviously lots of brand new records that we're hopefully bringing to market this year. Bands like The Vaccines or Cults or Las Vegas have all got new records coming soon that are all sounding good. Traditionally our business is obviously about selling records, but moving forwards into the future we're expanding. That's the entertainment bit in our name. So for example, at the moment you have Simon Cowell works within Sony, and his company Psycho produce the X Factor and the Got Talent series, which show all around the world, so we're generating plenty of revenue from things like that. At heart, a record company invests a large amount of money in signing artists and developing the repertoire and producing their records with them. In return for that, we own the master recordings, the copyright in their master recordings, and it's then our job to protect that copyright and to generate revenue from it for the artist and for ourselves. Obviously, innovation is very important to Sony Music in particular, and to the whole record industry in general. I think there's no question that the consumption of music is still very, very high amongst really everyone. You're very hard pressed to find someone who doesn't really like music. Really what we've got to try and do is identify all the places where music fits into people's lives, and there's tons and tons of those, and then think of ways in which we can best kind of bring music to those situations in the easiest possible way, and obviously from our point of view in a way that's licensed and legal as well. In terms of the types of services that you might want to try and deliver or launch, there's a wide range of things that could be suitable. At the one end, if you can crack something that appeals to a huge mass market, then you're probably onto a winner. But equally, I think there's a lot of mileage in being able to deliver a really good service to a small niche audience. So if you can have the very best service for people who are into a specific type of music or consuming music in a particular way, then you've got just as much chance of being successful as you have if you have a killer mass market idea as well. Okay, so if we're thinking about what kinds of things are likely to impress a company like Sony, in terms of things that we'd look at and say, well, yes, we think this is worth licensing our content to, or helping to support in one of the consumer trials that the IC Tomorrow process will be running, I would say that I'm always swayed if you've got some kind of consumer insight, if you've managed to find some kind of need amongst the target audience for your service that demonstrates that your product will be viable. It's very easy to put down on paper that you're going to build the most awesome service that provides the best listening experience on every platform for every person in the country. But if you've actually identified some people, potentially it may just be a small section of people, like I say, who you can market this niche service to, that definitely want your product, well, that's a much stronger argument for us. So one thing I definitely advise you to do is try and do some consumer insight before you bring the service to us. That doesn't have to mean large-scale kind of expensive surveys or research panels. You can do that if you identify who you think your audience is going to be. Literally speak to 15, 20 people, get them in pairs, talk to them one-to-one, face-to-face, talk to them about where they use music in their lives, how their music consumption will be affected by your service, and ask them whether they think your service is a good idea. Hopefully they'll say they think your service is a good idea. The important thing to follow up with then is to ask them, well, actually, where and how in their lives can they see themselves using this service? Because a lot of people will say something's good because it does sound good, but then when it comes down to it, if they actually have to make a change to their behaviour to use it, in reality they won't use it. So try and make sure you get an idea of your audience's actual behaviour rather than just what they say they'd like.